We're here at this O2 CRV. This is the same as mine, basically. Same body style, second gen CRV. So I'm after the shift solenoids in it because my transmission is toast, or I think the shift solenoids are toast. So yeah, the shift solenoids are underneath a big mess in here. Most of it was already taken off, so I didn't really film it, but right here is the shift solenoid that we need. So anyway, that's it. Yeah, so the CRV, 170,000 miles on it. This is squirrel damage, believe it or not. Squirrels got in here and chewed up all of the insulation and whatnot. This truck is delaying shifting, or it's hesitating during the shift. So, there's only three things that can cause that on these Hondas, apparently. It's the fluid is toast, which I've already flushed the fluid. You do the 3 changes on it. Or it's the shift solenoids, which are actuated by or operated by the computer and pressure in the line, and it shifts it. Apparently, if your shift solenoids go bad, it'll hesitate between shifts and your RPM will spike a little bit and it'll come down. I found some of these used shift solenoids. These are like $1,200+ at the Honda dealer, and apparently you can't really use anything else. All of the aftermarket ones on the internet or eBay or Amazon or whatever are apparently no good and you can't use them. So we're going to go with OEM Honda from the junkyard and hope that that fixes it. So if this doesn't fix it, the transmission is junk in it and they're really expensive. So I don't know what to do at that point. So let's hope that this fixes it. The shift solenoids are down here on top of the transmission. You can see one right there. That is the overdrive solenoid. That's where this truck started missing, or car, whatever you want to call it. So the first thing we're going to do is take the battery out. We got to take the air box out and kind of open up some room, and we can just get down in there. So the battery tray, battery, air box, tubes, and then we should be in. Now we do have to clean these up. They're kind of hard to see, but we need to spray those out. There's some tubes. I'll show all that to you later. They all have to be super clean. If this doesn't work, then this transmission is bad, or those solenoids are bad. But whatever. We'll find out when we get there. There's the shift solenoids right there on the front of the engine, and then the one on the top right there. So all of this just needs to be moved out of the way. One of the main issues that Honda has is that these bolts that hold the airbox on break off. These are already broke, so they rust off. The intake duct is right here. I'll show you what's going on. So these little bolts here are captured in the airbox, and it always collects water in there and rusts them out. As you can see, that one right there doesn't actually have a size. It's just totally wasted. So I'll probably have to drill that thing out somehow or whatever, because there's no way for me to get it off. There we go, it's free now. You can see how these things end up. Just a bad design. Air filter still looks pretty good. That's good. Alright, so this air box needs to come out so that this snorkel up front can come out. 10 millimeter up here. Then this long one right here. And there's the airbox and snorkel unit. Now with that out of the way, we've got a super easy shot to the overdrive solenoid and then the ones in the front. Now the ones in the front have 6 bolts in it. I'll show you that when we clean them, clean the other ones. We're going to try to do a test on these two to see what they sound like. You can apply 12 volts to them and try to listen to them and see. I don't know any other, solution for that. I don't have any advanced Honda tools or whatever. But we're going to try to do the click 12 volt test on it, see what they sound like. Oh, we've got a broken ground. Look at that. I'm glad that it just rotted right off. I'm glad that I got in here. See that? I wonder what that goes to. All right, well, there's my tripod. All of this is aluminum. My little magnetic base on my camera here, it's just a phone. It's way too heavy for all this, and I can't get it to stick anywhere. So there's no good view for you guys. I'm going to just whip this thing off. There's 2 bolts on top, 2 in the middle, and 2 on the bottom. There's really nowhere for you guys to watch from. And here we go, the cheapest Honda parts I've ever bought in my life. It was like 15 bucks for both of these gaskets. I'll show you the part numbers. There you go. Those are the part numbers for the gaskets for the shift solenoids. They're dirt cheap. Like I said, they're like 15 bucks for the pair or something like that. They're under $20. And yeah, that's it. So when we get ready to put these things in, we have to clean all these things out. There are screens in there that you have to blow out and make sure that they're good and clean. Yeah, and hopefully we don't run into anything crazy. So anyway, that's it. All right, well, we're leaking trans fluid, but I did get it off. Now, there are these tubes in there. Can you even see? No, you can't hardly see. So anyhow, pull this thing out now. You can see these tubes that come out with it, or some of them stay in there, but it's supposed to come out with it. Awesome. All right, so here we have it. I don't know why it looks so dark on the camera. Here are the old solenoids. Guess it's a good time to check our gaskets. Man, why is it so dark looking? Probably the silver thing. I don't know. Got like friggin' all the lights in the world on, but whatever. Yeah, it looks like that's the one. It's reversed, but that's it. And that's the one. All right, so we got the right gaskets, so we're already a step ahead. So this only has a 2-pin deal on the back of it. I really have no idea why you can't see anything with all this light. There we go. So we're going to use these leads. We're going to poke into it. I just wrapped some electrical tape on it so I don't have to go all the way up to the house. And then we're going to basically touch this to my jump box and see if we can hear any action with the solenoid. I guess we'll find out. Maybe I should take the silver thing off. Maybe it's just too reflective. All right, so the theory here is that this jump box with the 12 volts should actuate this solenoid, and we'll be able to hear like a good solid pop. Not like a dull thump or anything like that. It should be a solid, hardcore snap, like a solenoid should make. This thing's going to beep. It's actually spraying out fluid. Okay, well, that one actually sounds like it's good. So the trans just might be bad. Let's try this other one, see what it's like. Or maybe it's that ground. Maybe that ground is weird. I don't know. It's had a lot of hard miles put on it, so who knows. This one does sound a little different. Now, I did look it up online, and I was told that it should be a really sharp snap. Whether or not this is a sharp snap or not, I don't know. It feels a little, or it sounds a little dull, but it is working. Not sure what to make of that. Sounds like they're working. Well, there's the screen inside of there, inside each one. Looks pretty open. So, all right, so there's one. Take a look at all of them, see if we can see any that are plugged up. This one has no screen in it. That is maybe a bad thing. I was told that they all have screens, so which one was that? It was on the outside one. So let's check this outside one here. No, well, it does have a screen in it. It's clean and it's open. So was it the inside one? They all have screens. That one doesn't. That one doesn't have a screen in it. So maybe the screen fell out or got destroyed and got sucked into the trans? I don't know. This one has no screen. Well, maybe one isn't supposed to have a screen. We have these other ones here. This one has no screen in it. Totally open. Totally open. Totally open. No screens. So, that's interesting. Let me get this gasket off of here and we'll look inside. So that's mine. New one just looks cleaner inside. Whatever. What do you think? Screens or no screens? Yeah, at this point I don't think anything matters. I mean, I'm starting to doubt. Well, I guess we can listen to the new one. Let's see how the new one sounds. Let's hear how these sound. Ready? Man, it has a pretty distinct thump. They're definitely working. Or they're both perfectly fine and I wasted all my time and money because the transmission's bad, which is a distinct possibility. Very well could just be that the trans is shot. So obviously on these you're supposed to keep the screens open. The screens, they can't help but be open because the screens are gone. I don't know if the screens got sucked into the transmission somehow, and maybe that's the entire cause of all of these problems. I don't know. All right, well, apparently these CRVs had a problem early on where the transmissions would fail prematurely, but at a really low mileage. So they were pretty much new. I think it's 30 or something thousand miles, and they would fail. But mine is way beyond that. So I don't think that we're running into the same issue. There's the spool. It's like a spool valve, and all it does is change what direction this fluid goes, to the best of my knowledge. So that the solenoid would kick out, and it's got like a little journal in it that would allow fluid through one spot and then not through the other. So fluid, let's say, would pass through here and then needed to go through here, so it'd move and then it could travel back. I mean, I'm not entirely sure what the whole circuit is for these, but it's got a little like spool valve in there that moves back and forth, and that's all that they do. So it's based off of pressure and whatever the computer is programmed to, to activate these at, to switch your gears. So hopefully this thing is just dirty or something like that. I really don't know, because what else can I do? CRV is a good vehicle. I mean, it's never let me down. We'll get some compressed air and blow these mamma jammas out. Thing is that I need to know if this thing is going to work, this truck, by tomorrow. So it's already 9:30. 9:30 at night. We're going to clean it with some acetone. Try to get that gasket surface nice. All right, so this is the overdrive solenoid. Yeah, no screens at all in this transmission. I don't know if this thing was serviced, or maybe somebody's already been in here and tried this, and that's why this CRV was in the junkyard, because it looked pretty good. So it could be that the trans was bad, but that was the only CRV in the junkyard. You just don't see them very often up here. Well, that one definitely sounds good. When I blow compressed air through this, I can feel the solenoid move back and forth. So these are not seized up. All right, I'm going to clean all these things up off camera. I've got to scrape all of the gasket material off the truck because, obviously these tore. So that's a nightmare. It's going to take me a minute. So I'm just going to get to that. There's no room for you guys to see. So I'm just going to get to it. And then I'll just show you when I can assemble it, I guess. If this thing shifts great after I connect that ground with these solenoids that sound exactly the same, it could be that this ground just wasn't good enough or something. I don't know. There's the chassis ground right there going to the body, or body ground. And then this other ground goes right to the transmission. So that's apparently the engine ground, because it goes right to the ground lug of the thing. Who knows? That could have been it. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Who knows how long it's been like that, though. I've got enough room, though. I can at least put a different connector on it. So that's good. Anyway, I'm off and running. All right, so I couldn't get this thing to install, and check that out. 2 different lengths. I would have never thought that. Not really sure exactly why, but they're 2 different lengths. So thankfully, I guess this pin was in the other one. I don't have any more of these, so I got the overdrive one correct. Looks like it's seated down properly. This one here on the front, it was like, I don't know, a 16th off or something like that, or what is that, 8th? Yeah, this one just wouldn't seat down. Then I just started thinking, I wonder if they're the wrong length. Doggone it, they sure are. So, glad I caught that before I tightened it down. Luckily, I just got them snug, and I thought, this isn't right, I'm going to break it. Took it off, and sure enough. All right, well, I had to take this out. This is the ground, right? The ground lug. And, it had broken off right in there. Well, I don't have an eyelet that's big enough for this. So I just drilled out the existing copper. And now I just have to open this thing up, and I'll just try to reuse this. It's in overall good shape, so it's not too bad. I just have to spread this out and then crimp it back down on the wire. Whatever, she's good enough. It ain't the best connection, but it'll work for now. We're going to fix it with this. I'll order another end to get it coming, but this will keep it, good enough for now. Probably good enough for ever. All right, so everything's plugged in. They're all tight. Oh, on this top one, it felt kind of weird. I went and took this thing off again, and it had the wrong size tubes in it too. So this truck needs the shorter tubes. For whatever reason, this transmission case must not be drilled as deep as the one that I took these off of. I don't know. The depth of the holes are different. So now you can see it's nice and flat. It was an 1/8 inch off before. This one right here, I had to use an easy out to get the damn thing out. So it doesn't look like it cracked anything or whatever, but it must have spread this out just a little bit. But yeah, it was no fun. All right, like I was saying to you guys, pretty typical. The Honda's just the bolts to rust right off and break off down inside. So it's supposed to have this nut cert inside of it or whatever. But the old Harbor Freight super cheap metric bolt kit comes through again. Here we go, another day with the Honda. I couldn't do it last night. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I was just tired. Anyway, I want to show you something kind of cool that showed up yesterday. So we got some beehives now. Yeah, pretty neat. Those are just like kind of temporary in what they are. They got to be kind of like fixed up, but whatever. We're going to have hives out here in the luscious landscape of the half-assed garage. Can't see it right now, but in a few more weeks, about a month, this entire field will just be wildflowers and all these flowering plants. So we've got some bees. These things make amazing honey. This is the neighbor's. She's using some of our land since we're not using it. I can't find a farmer to come out here and hay this out or do anything with it. I've looked for years. No one wants to do it. It's just this area has kind of fallen away from the agricultural area. It's kind of become more of like a big subdivision, for lack of a better term. It's a shame because this place all used to be farm fields. But anyhow, bees. Back on the Honda. Nothing's really been done. I did just kind of put the air box into place. Fluid filmed everything last night. That ground is sketchy, but you know what? I don't care at this point. I just want to see if the truck's going to run. If it doesn't, that ground's the least of our worries. The whole thing's toast. So anyway, just bolt it all up and put a battery in it, and we should be able to take it out for a quick spin. The assembly is just the same as the disassembly, so I'm going to knock that thing out, and then we'll take it for the meat and potatoes of the whole video, whether or not this transmission is fixed. Battery's all in place. Fluid filmed all the connections. This, if you've seen it and you were like, what the heck? This is an auxiliary power unit. It's disconnected right now. That's why there's nothing going to it. I just clipped the wire and left it. Oh, this needs to be zip tied up. Yeah, I forgot that one thing. There we go. Got to zip tie this thing up now that I'm thinking about it. But everything else is plugged in, tight. Everything's ready to go. That one I didn't worry about because it's broke off inside. I don't feel like drilling it out. Yeah, I think that we're good. Oh, these clamps need to be moved back into place, and then we're good. Maybe it was just that ground, you know? I'm just thinking about it, you know, more and more since I found that ground. If the solenoids are attached to the case of the transmission and they're not receiving the proper ground, that could be the entire reason why they're not actuating correctly. Now, that ground wasn't like super corroded and gross. It was just broken off from fatigue. So it could be that, you know, this all happened, you know, it was slowly cracking and the ground was getting worse and worse and worse until it finally broke off. Recently, within the last, I don't know, 6 months or something, when I started having this problem. And then that was it. They just can't fully actuate. This can't fully get all the power that they need or whatever. So it might have just been that ground the whole time, but I would have never seen it really unless I took all this apart, 'cause I've never really worked on this truck. The only thing that's ever been wrong with this is the AC compressor went out at like 70,000 miles. It's got 170,000 on it now. That's all that's ever been done other than maintenance items like brakes, you know, tires. I don't know. That's basically it. Oh, struts. That's all. That's all that the thing's ever needed. So, I don't know. We're going to take it for a spin. See if it works. All right. It should flare pretty hard if it's not fixed. That's normal. Hey, look at that. It had to have been those grounds, or that ground. I don't know what else it could be. This thing's shifting perfect. Well, we're going to warm it up a little bit. It needs oil, because, you know, oil. Once again, rain here in the wonderful swamp of Detroit, Michigan. Well, I'm in the metro Detroit area. I'm not actually in Detroit. As you might be able to tell, it's not a bunch of urban decay. It's just a bunch of swampy decay. Anywho, we're doing pretty good. It had to have been that ground. I don't know. Like, I'm not a real mechanic. I'm just a guy with some tools that likes to tinker on stuff in a shop, right? I'm not trained. I had an auto mechanics class in high school by the worst auto teacher known to man. The dude was a total potato. Just didn't try. Perfect. Anyway, I'm just doing all this stuff on my own. As of right now, the old Honda CR-V with 170,800 even on the clock, running down the road like a dream. Everything works great. So, I'm super happy. Temps are up to normal, so we're good to go. By now, this thing would have already flared super insane in the shifts, and it would have just been crazy. I was completely convinced that the transmission was shot on this truck. It wasn't even any of that. It wasn't the shift solenoids. It wasn't the fluid. It was a doggone ground. One stinking ground. Why there aren't redundant systems on vehicles? I don't know. Save $5 off of the cost of each vehicle? You guys can let me know in the comments below if you guys are all like, you know, professional mechanics and stuff. Because I don't know why there isn't some type of redundant system in the car. But if you have a second-gen Honda CR-V with shifting problems and it's flaring pretty hard in the shifts, you might want to check your grounds. That being said, I guess now I know what a good set of solenoids sounds like, because mine weren't bad. Luckily I didn't break anything. I don't think that there'll be any fluid because I tightened everything down, brand new gaskets. So that's it. We're good to go. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope this was somewhat informative if you've got a second-gen Honda, or if you just wanted to hang out. I do appreciate it. We're getting close to 1,000 subs. That is super awesome. So thank you all for subscribing and watching my videos. Yeah. Until next time, thanks for watching. Comment, like, sub, subscribe, whatever it is, do it. Thanks. I'll catch you on the next one.